Okay. Yeah.
Recording in progress.
So Young, take it away.
Okay. Good evening. With all our schedules very busy, I want to thank those ones who are here. And I am sure we, all of us, uh, who are still celebrating Women's History Month, that we have our fathers who are deceased or alive. We are our fathers' best children, right? Child. That's how my father did see me. And so I think father and daughters have special relationships. And so um, I wanted this year to honor him with a youth scholarship. But many of the organizations that I have seen and in Korean communities, they just send their academic excellent scores, then they get the scholarship. And some wants to know, so young, why do you work so hard? So I think that we need to encourage our students to be a writer and know a little more about poetry and dig deeply into themselves to know about humanity. What does it mean by and caring? So that's where we are gathered here. Um, Tonight we also celebrate three very diverse women who have had different walks. So right now, I would like to welcome you. And today's theme and purpose is be bold, be proactive, and be helpful. And I would like to have our technology consultant, Gus E. Seguero, show us with the visual presentation.
You may have noticed in our events poster the image of ladybugs. 2 years ago, our Women's History Month featured dragonflies as a symbol of rebirth and rejuvenation. This year, it's the ladybug. Many cultures believe that the ladybug is a positive symbol of good luck and new beginnings. We believe that ladybugs also signify that happiness is on the horizon. For each of us, nothing is as positive in our lives as a mother's love. Hopefully, for most of us, that includes the gift of non judgmental love. And so, we would like to include, with tongue in cheek, a small video segment that we feel embodies that motherly quality with diversity, equity, and inclusion in mind.
would you like to recognize um, first woman uh, who is alphabetical last name uh, order, Ayoung Che, and she educates us many times also. There is a no last name called Choi, is Che, and she has family members very connected to historically with Korea, and she's a peace activist and advisor to numerous not-profit organizations, and some of them are very active and working in Korean communities for a long time. So we will hear interview portion of Aeon Ches. Go
Well,
ahead.
hi, my name is Ayon Che, and I am now a citizen of the United States, but I was born in Korea, and I came to the U.S. after spending my childhood in other parts of the world, mainly China, Taiwan, and Japan. And so to me, multiculturalism is very, very, very close, and I feel at home basically anywhere in the world. Could you
Now, you
want to
work
do
to solve a problem as a consultant for the future leaders, scholarship winners. Can you explain how you approach problems?
Well, the kinds of problems that I am going to be able to respond to is doing my work as a consultant to nonprofit organizations. Many of those in the New York City area are started by newcomers to this country. But as you solve any kind of a problem, I think one of the most important things to do is to be able to listen. First, you have to listen to whatever the situation is that is requiring a solution. And so I always do my very best to listen carefully to what is being described to me as a problem. And after I listen to it, my next step usually is to ask what types of solutions do they think they need? And is it a short term or a long term solution? And who are the parties that are involved in helping to resolve the problem? And also, if they have already maybe thought about a few ways to resolve the problem, because very often those answers that people are seeking are within themselves. And it's really hard to just distinguish what the problem is from the solution when you're dealing with it all together at the same time. So we start with what identifying the problem, and then who is involved in resolving the problem, or who's responsible for resolving, and then try to hear what their own creative idea.
Question. You have worked in many different careers. Which one is closest to your heart and why?
I find
Well,
the sound
actually,
very low.
I have a deep respect for learning, and I
Please turn up the volume.
have
Okay, I
really
think you
most
just did.
enjoyed whenever I was able to participate in learning. And one of the ways that I did that was by being a teacher. I have taught young children and I have taught adults. And believe me, there is a big difference between the age groups of the students who are learning or studying. But I have always appreciated that people do change. You hear people say, well, no, he's that way or she's that way, he's never going to change. But I just don't agree with that. I think that people change. I know that people change when their hearts are moved. I know that people change when the right moment happens, or when the right teacher comes, or they fall in love with a subject or a question and they want to know more about it. So I have really enjoyed most the times when I was teaching young children. At that time, I was teaching Spanish, And then I went on to another kind of teaching, which was teaching adults. In that situation, I was teaching not academics, but job skills. And my students were people who had really had a hard time in their lives. Many of them were, I would say, some of them were people who had finished serving time in prison for what they had done. Some were people who had just graduated from a drug rehab treatment program. There were other people who wanted to just get a job and had no skills. And they were of all ages, but most of them were between 25 or late 20s into the early 60s. And there is an excitement to learning at any age, and an excitement when you succeed. And all the dynamics of personalities are interesting to work with. And I also did see that there's a difference between teaching young children. Their energies are boundless. Their limit or capacity to learn is unlimited. And the difference between the young children who are learning and older people who are learning is that the main difference is that in adults, especially when people are over 30, 40, or even, way past that, the energy is not quite as alive or as unlimited as the children. There is some kind of a cap that they reach and seem not to be able to break through the cap, and it's a frustrating thing. So it's a much more emotionally involved teaching process. So there's all of that, and I love teaching. I've done many different kinds of work in my life. I've done my own business. I was an artist's rep. Many different things, but I think teaching is closest to my heart.
Thank you. I have been invited to Multicultural Council of New York's events, and our main purpose is to collaborate and advocate multiculturalism. If you had a chance to visit our website and see our work in action, how do you like our mission and vision and what we are doing?
Well, I am so close to your mission, and I am so sharing in your vision that it's kind of like talking about my own life, my personal life. From a very, very young age, I was exposed to so many different cultures, including, my first exposure was living in Shanghai, a Korean living in Shanghai during World War II. That's I was there when I was 3 till the time I was about 8 or 9 years old in Shanghai. Our family is Korean, so we preserved some of our Korean culture, but we were also so exposed to the surroundings. And that type of experience somehow ended up giving me a view of life that all of life is multicultural, whether the culture comes from your family or whether it comes from your surroundings, or whether you go and look for it and just bring it to yourself. I find that there are so many ways to express culture and to receive culture. Some of my favorite things are just I love to cook. I love to cook different foods. I love all kinds of food. When I go to visit a country, whether it's as a tourist or to visit with a family or friends, I really, really don't go there to see the beautiful mountains and the rivers and the views and the palaces. That's interesting, but I prefer to stay at someone's home. I prefer to go shopping with them, shop for food, bring it home, cook it, enjoy it together. So there is a lot that you can do in terms of sharing your culture and also receiving other cultural influences. People who are closed to growing that way, I feel very sad for them. So to me, culture is not just about music and art and, design and the creative. Culture is also about your religion, your education, your history. Many, many things make up a culture. And there are also so many wonderful ideas about context cultures that have a high context and low context. This is it's a concept where there are many cultures where the I, me is very important. If I fail, I failed. If I succeeded, I did the great thing. And there are other cultures where if I fail, my whole family failed, my community failed, we failed. And if I succeed, we succeeded. And the concept of culture is very interesting, fascinating, unending.
Thank you very much. Do you want to say last word to some young people who are receiving scholarship?
Last words.
Yes.
Who are here studying on a scholarship? Yes. Well, both of my parents came to the West from Korea on scholarship, and they did their graduate studies, my mother in Canada and my father in the United States. And then I came to the US also on a small academic scholarship. It is such an opportunity to be able to go to another place to learn. And it somehow makes you appreciate your own background and your own culture more when you are away. But to me, coming to a new country was exciting. And I felt gratitude to be able to have my past and my present moment. So what I would say to young people coming to another country is to take advantage of what is around you and connect with it. And the only way you can connect is by being open and then inviting others to come to you. So don't be shy, offer what you can from your culture, share with theirs with them, and build bridges.
Yes. Thank you very much. Thank you, Ayoung. Your answers were very intriguing and valuable. So we went over and over and over and over. I can listen to you all night, but we just have that amount of time. Thank you for sharing that. Culture is not just about music and food. Oftentimes people think that. So that was interesting answer. And I hope our scholarship winners are learning from these wise and leading women of different communities. At this time, I'm going to call on Linda.
As I said before, I'm Linda Leaf, and I'm a board member of the Multicultural Council of New York. It is my honor. I don't see her on now because she was before, but it's my honor and privilege to announce the Gin or Truth Essay Scholarship winner, Leslie Amana, a 12th grade student from Hempstead Union Free School District. We not only congratulate Leslie for her winning essay, but acknowledge her receiving an honorable mention in our fine arts entry for her fine arts entry in our contest. Congratulations again to this outstanding and talented participant.
Leslie,
Thank you.
I will take care of the spelling on the name. Forgive me.
Thank you for the opportunity for the scholarship, and thank you for choosing me as a winner. I'm very honored.
Yeah, we can afford.
next honoree is working on diversity, equity, and inclusivity in all different areas of the United States. Oftentimes I contact her and she's in here, she's in there, and that's the difficult topic. That is why. But currently she's in Eastern Suffolk BOCES, and she's a teaching staff in Hofstra and Stony Brook University. And here is April Francis Taylor. Can you introduce yourself, stating your name and the position and what you do?
Sure. So good morning. My name is April Francis Taylor. I'm the Director of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusivity at Eastern Suffolk BOCES. I've been in education for over 20 years. Started as a social studies educator, then became a Director of Social Studies, and have served on state councils for social studies and the National Council of Social Studies as well. I've served on some state education departments initiatives such as the Culturally Responsive and Sustaining Framework, as well as the Civic Readiness Task Force, and creating the seal of civic readiness for a different pathway for student graduation. And that really has led me into the field now of diversity, equity, and inclusivity.
Thank you. What is your perspective on DEI? We just learned what is DEI stands for some of the students who's joining today. Diversity, equity, and inclusivity. Some say we really needed to go ahead and embrace it. And we have seen in the Long Island some school districts decided not to. And so it's something we needed to do, but also it is not easily done. So please touch upon that perspective of DI.
Sure. So I would say that, diversity, equity, and inclusivity, that's something that has just been part of everything I've done. Even just as a student growing up here on Long Island, it just wasn't terms we used, right? I just know that I grew up in Massapequa, but I was bused to Amityville schools, and always thought about, why that was when I was younger. I know that my parents bought the house in Massapequa thinking I would go to Massapequa schools, but there was something that we now call redlining, right, that we didn't really know about. So this idea of equity and equality has always been at the center of my life, and going in, deciding to teach social studies was a reason I decided to do that, was to help young people understand about the past so that they can change the future. So knowing about the civil rights and all things that happened, the Holocaust and other injustices in our society, was to help students understand that these things happen, but that they can help make change for the future. So those terms of diversity, equity, and inclusivity have always been part of what we've been living. We just gave terms to them. So I believe that we've been living it, but now we are intentionally saying we need to make these changes, and we need to have conversations around them so that our students are having better experiences today, and that they're also going to be able to continue to be that change. So what I've seen that our education department in New York State has done is actually create ways that districts can review their curriculums, review their systems, and see where the gaps are, and where not just the academic gaps are, but the opportunity gaps are, and say, well, where can we create more access for all students, right? So regardless of your race and ethnicity, your abilities, right? How can we not even level the playing field, but create opportunities that best allow you to be your best self, so that when you come to your school, that you feel that you belong and that we're not othering anyone, right? And so that's what we're actually doing today. So those who are adverse or against that, they really just don't understand it, right? They're coming from maybe a deficit mindset where this is something that they were not used to. So they're not really educated on why we're doing it. And I think it just requires giving people time to, or the opportunity themselves to better understand it, and meeting people where they're at. So a lot of the work we've done at Eastern Suffolk BOCES is create learning opportunities for our staff and our families to better understand the work that we're doing. And in the last 4 years that I've been there, we've seen that by creating those opportunities, not everybody is on board, but a lot of people have been more able to see that this is really about everyone, staff, students, and families, and that we're about inclusivity of every voice. And that really, by doing this work, we have seen better environments to help our students feel that they belong and that we want to see them be their best selves. And with that, we've seen more people want to come to work at Eastern Suffolk BOCES from all backgrounds because they see that we are trying our best to do that type of work. And we have seen more families want their students to come to our programs as well. So we've seen an increase in student populations want to come, and we've seen an increase of a diversity of people who want to come to work with us.
Why would you like to see something more next year?
Well, I would say, even though we've seen such a progress, there's still challenges. Some challenges, being in my role as a director of DEI is, pushing some of my colleagues to understand sometimes we have to do things a little different. So change isn't easy. And being a person that collaborates a lot of times to look at process and procedures and policies with an equity lens isn't always the easiest job to have, right? So if you're asking someone to make a change that they've been doing something the same way for a while, and to them it seems to be successful, but you're asking them to look at it and say, well, it may have been successful for a certain group of people for a while, but let's look at it from a different lens, and it may not have been so successful for another group of people. It can create, a discomfort. And getting past that discomfort with colleagues isn't always easy. And so creating a bridge with my colleagues, creating a bridge with those who are experiencing that comfort is something that we're still working with, and finding ways to, move forward and understand that we're all in this together. And so that's a challenge that my role and people in my role often have. You might see in society people having titles such as mine have burnout, and that burnout is because of certain things like that. So our positionality of power often comes with, we have to collaborate with other leaders. We don't always make the final decision. We always have to persuade other people to understand the why. And sometimes that can be overwhelming and also very fatigued. You become very tired in wanting to persuade others to see the why. So I think that's the challenge that I'm at right now. And year 4, I do believe that folks are ready and understand the work. And now it's making sure that we're getting into that deeper dive and saying we're past the surface level of doing DEI work, and that we're really willing to get to that deeper level that requires true system change. And I'm happy to have some great partners and a board that's willing to support that work. And I'm looking forward to seeing those who are continuing to move forward with me.
Thank you so much for joining this morning. Okay. At this time, I would like to call Joseph Nord.
Hi, my name is Joseph Nord. I'm one of the board members in the Multicultural Council of New York. It is my pleasure to announce the winners in the category of goodness. I'd like to introduce 7th grader Eliana Ramirez and Steven Diaz, he's an 8th grader, from East Middle School in Brentwood. And I just want to say congratulations, guys. You put in some incredible...
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, do you want to say something, Eliana? Just a few words.
I'm really honored to get this award because I put my hard work and effort in this, and I feel like I tried my best in this essay.
And Steve?
I want to thank my teacher for giving me the opportunity, and thank you guys for having me here. This essay made me reflect on multiple things I've done, and while I was writing this, I was just like, wow, how did I have the time to write all of this? And it makes me It made me very proud. Thank you.
Thank you so
Pleasure.
much.
Our pleasure. Next
I-
honey, honey.
I couldn't find Steve Saturday morning because he's in school. And some of these students are the leaders because they are very good in arts, but they became risk takers and competed in essay competition. So that's another way to you to say, Eliana, you did put your heart into it, and it will yield to good results like this. Okay, thank you. All right. At this time, I would like to introduce our third honoree, and third honoree is Rebecca Sosuri, and I nominated Rebecca in the past for different type of women's awards, so she and I really go back, way back, and recently we were reconnected. She's a lawyer and the board president of Great Neck School District. Rebecca, we will play now video of our interview with you.
Hi, thank you so much for this invitation. My name is Rebecca Yusufzadeh Sassouni. I am of counsel at Wisselman Harunian Family Law, and I also have the great honor of being elected to serve as a trustee of the Great Neck Public Schools, and I'm currently the president of the Board of Education. I also serve as an officer of the Sephardic Heritage Alliance Incorporated, which is a cultural organization dedicated to the acculturative needs of the Persian Jewish community. And before that, I was a founder of the Persian Culture Club, which did a lot of work and still does with the libraries and the Nassau County and the town of North Hempstead, trying to bring culture to life, the Persian culture to life with our municipalities. So thank you for your invitation.
Years ago, you were honored by Gaia Essence Women's Wellness Conference. Since then, how have you been, and how are you connecting multiculturalism and education with your current position and diversity, equity, and inclusion?
Look, you know, since we last spoke, there was a whole pandemic, right? And it definitely influenced my life, and I'm sure everyone else, including you and anyone who's going to listen to this interview. But our work is undeterred, right? We're still concerned for all of the same issues, and they animate me more, is I guess what I would say. So I started out myself as the child of immigrants. I was born in this country. I'm a very proud American. I'm a very proud woman. I'm a very proud daughter of Jewish Persian immigrants, meaning my parents are from Iran. My husband is from Iran. And, you know, I'm multilingual like you. And the immigrant experience informs everything I say and do, because I remember what it was like in school. And since the last time we spoke, I've been elected the president of my school board. In addition to being a trustee, now I'm the president. We have more issues having to do with equity and diversity and inclusion across Long Island, not only you know, where I serve as a trustee, but of course in my own law practice. I see children in my family law practice and in my special ed practice and in my suspension practice who are profoundly influenced, whether it's because they've been bullied or because they are bullies, frankly, whether it's because they are emotionally affected by the immigrant experience or by their the fact of their gender identity and being misunderstood or misgendered or misclassified. And I care about them all. What can I tell you? I think that what's coming out, at least what's become very clear to me, is we have a generational divide. We have law that is changing, and it's like quicksand changing under parents' feet. They don't even know what the earth is under them. And at the same time, their kids are affected by this pandemic. This period of time when we were all apart, this period of time when there was remote learning instead of in-person learning, and all these changes having to do with, the law, like I said, so gender identity, and testing, and who has access to higher education and on what terms. And so when people call my office, I'm here for both sides of every equation, right? People have a problem. I'm here trying to help them navigate a system and how to help them. So I get calls from people who their kids are suspended, they think, because their kids are Caucasian. I get calls from people whose kids are suspended, they think, because their kids are of color. And I tell you, both statements are true. Because depending on the situation, diversity, equity, and inclusion means that somebody feels included, somebody feels excluded. And it's really, really a challenging time to be a parent. And it's even a more challenging time to be a child. Like, I feel for these kids. They come to my office and I'm like, I'm your lawyer. And now your mom and dad sometimes have to leave the room because I want you to feel you can talk to me. Your mom and dad are paying me, but I'm your lawyer. And sometimes there's things that the child, often a teenager or a young adult, needs to say. Their parents don't even know what's going on with these kids. And I tell you, they're the lucky ones. They're the ones whose parents got them a lawyer. There's kids out there, goodness, they're falling through the cracks. I mean, I can't help them all. None of us can help everybody. We do what we can. But it's a very challenging time to be a child going to school. I feel for these kids.
Thank you. And next question is, what are the 3 words you can give to youth, and why those 3 words?
My 3 words for the kids who might benefit from your scholarship are believe in yourself. Believe in yourself and never stop believing in yourself. So, as I said, the kids who I come into contact with, if they're in my office, it's because they have a problem. They have a legal problem. They're either being suspended or they need special education help, or they need their tuition back if it's a private school situation. But whatever it is, sometimes they're feeling down because they're having a problem with the school. And, where I begin with them is basically some sense of, it's not your fault, and whatever it is, we're going to get through it. It's a tough time to be a young person. They could have, a sense that their issue has to do with their identity. Well, they can't help their identity. We don't shed our skin. We don't shed our ethnicity. We don't shed our gender. These are things that we're proud of and that make us who we are. And the only way out of a problem or a situation is to go through it. So we go through it together. You go through it with whether it's your attorney or your family or your school But what I say to the kids is you go through it with yourself. So when you believe in yourself and you know yourself and you identify with your gender and your ethnicity and your culture and your race or whatever it is that animates you, whatever your identity is, it could be your athleticism, could be your intellect, your ability, or your disability, whatever it is, but believe in yourself, you'll get through whatever the situation is. I think often the kids that I interact with, you know, by the time they've made it to my office, and thankfully they do with their parents generally, it's because they've gone through some stuff and they need someone to help them see the way through.
Thank you. I wanted to just ask you for a minute or two, some words you can encourage our future women, young girls. Why did you become lawyer?
That's a great question. So I became a lawyer at a time where in my world, which again, I was a child of immigrants. I was one of the first lawyers in my family, one of the first lawyers my family met, if I can explain it that way.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And I became a lawyer at a time where it was not popular for young women in my family to even go to college, let alone graduate school. So I became a lawyer because I fortunately had the support of my parents, my spouse, because I got married during law school. And I was really lucky that I had that support. And the work that I do now is actually a way of paying that support forward because I believe so strongly in helping children and families and the next generation. What I would say to young women, whether or not they ever have the level of support that I did, because I don't presume that, we don't take it for granted, understanding the nexus between law and your life is something that is really helpful no matter what you're doing. You could be an artist and knowing law helps you understand contracts and whether you're selling your work. You could be a business person and an entrepreneur and knowing law will help you so you don't get ripped off. Knowing law is great no matter what you're going to do. If you want to be a techie, if you want to be, as a young person, an influencer, whatever it is that you want to do, knowing some basic law and taking even a business law class through BOCES or through community college, let alone going through a 3-year intensive law school program, is a great way to get a common sense approach to contracts so you don't get ripped off in your life. And boy, oh boy, am I glad that I became a lawyer, because even for people who don't practice law, and I know many lawyers who then went on to do other things in private practice for themselves, like reading their own contracts, making their own money, starting your own business. You could go open your own clothing store, your own ice cream store, do whatever it is you want. But it starts with understanding contracts and real estate and things like personal injury, the basics that you learn in a first-year law class or in like a community college. So I would encourage any young woman to not be afraid. Go learn. The more you learn, the more you'll earn.
Thank you so much. Wow. Wow. I think that some of the students and even myself who joined tonight, I just started to think and says maybe I could think about being a lawyer, and I didn't even think about that sense. Knowing the law is a power. So I hope that helped Eliana and Leslie to think about, and even Stephen. Okay. Um, Diane?
Good evening again. My name is Diane McCabe, a board member of the Multicultural Council of New York, as well as an artist, but I didn't become a lawyer. I have the honor to announce in the category Me in Chinese, Beauty in English, Fine Arts, the drawing titled COVID Beach by Hannah Kim of Great Neck South High School.
Okay, Hannah, would you like to put on camera and say a few words? How do you feel?
I would like to thank everyone for giving me this opportunity, and I am happy that I could express my creativity through art.
Hey, I'm gonna ask you one more question, Hannah, because it is not that easy to express humanity, kindness, and care just in a piece of paper, but you did. And so, can you tell us about your work? And of course, we will put that on our website later this week. Just to say, what is it about?
So my inspiration was when I heard about this contest. I was I was thinking about things that happened in the past, and something that stood out to me was when I went to the beach with my family during COVID, and my parents couldn't spend a lot of time with us, but then at that time, that was like I feel like it was the perfect timing, so we could also spend more family time. And it wasn't that easy creating the art, and it took a bit of time to come up with the idea, but
Okay.
yeah.
It's okay. I'm putting you on the spot. Artists are not always the best speaker. You can ask Diane.
I'd like to help her a little bit as far as she did the foreground, the middle ground, and the background. And in each section of that drawing, right, Kim? You put yourself in there. There were 1, 2, 3 people in the foreground. Who were they?
Sisters.
It was me and my sisters.
So there's three girls, and then who was in the middle ground? That was your parents?
Yeah.
And then in the background, I love the ray of sun coming out of the sky. Oh, that was so profound for me. For me, looking at it as an art teacher, as well as an artist, having that ray of sun coming through, because that's good. Light is goodness, and wow, there's a lot of thought. Excellent. Thank you very much.
Can I just add something, since I happen to be a trustee of the schools? How proud I am of you, Hannah, to see that you took this on and that you've made art out of a time during your life where it was a time of crisis, and you saw it as an opportunity, this time with your family, and you made it into something beautiful. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you. It happened to be I put it in the speakers in order so we can able to match that. Either April or Ayoung, would you like to address specifically to today's winner? This is a moment.
Sure. Yeah, I would like to, and thank you for
Yes.
giving me the opportunity again, and to speak to everyone. So it's always wonderful having young people. The work that I do as an educator is mainly to support our young people, and to have you all participate in this contest, and especially so connected to So Young's father, who was such an influence on her life. And we think about our own parents, my parents' influence on my life, and being immigrants as well, and coming here to this country to give us more opportunities, namely education. You know that education is a gateway to so many opportunities. So knowing that you all took the time to participate, share your talents, but to speak to the topic, which is so important. So we want you to continue to have that drive and know that you are the change, right? All of these adults that are here for you today is because of you. And we know that our society is not doing the best it can, but the essence of what United States can be and has been is that we do have a nation, a constitution that says that we can make changes, right? And you all are the future, and you have the ability to make that change. So when you see things aren't going right, that you can be that activist, that voice, and we are helping you to give that skill set. So thank you for participating and allowing us to be your leaders, and that you take on that baton. So I appreciate that. So thanks, So Young.
Thank you. Ayoung?
Well, thank you for asking us to speak. This is my first meeting of all of you, and I'm really impressed. I'm very moved, actually, by how you're embracing multiculturalism starting at a young age. Although, I think it should start even way, way sooner in terms of becoming aware of our small role in a huge universe. Frankly, Hannah, I was an art major, and I was an artist for the first few years of my adult life. And lots of things happened to me so that I am no longer doing art, but I'm a great supporter of art. And it is a language. I feel that it is an emotional language, and many people can understand you through art because it's a form of language that expresses to them what you're saying. And Stephen and the others, I also love writing. I love reading, but I also like to write. And just expressing ourselves authentically and boldly, that takes courage. And I really congratulate you for walking that path. Who knows what the future holds, what you will do, 15, 25 years from now? It's hard to tell, but these are wonderful beginnings. And I wish you all the best.
Thank you.